Hey guys, it's Will here, back with another battle report, bringing the Orcs out again tonight. So it's going to be my second batrep with the Evil Sunz, and really hoping to play a lot better than I did in my first game. If you saw the first batrep, we really made some terrible mistakes there, but you know, we're good to go now. I've had a look at the list, tweaked a few things, reread a few things, learnt from my mistakes, but it's going to be a tough game because I'm up against Tom and he's bringing his chaos sort of mixed demons and heretic Astartes list. And he's leading it with Mortarion, so yeah, it's going to be a tough one. He's got some other scary stuff along with him, so definitely some things that are actually better in combat than Orcs, which is always a scary prospect for Orcs, going up against someone who could actually do more damage in combat than you can. But we're certainly going to have the numbers advantage. I'm going to do 1750 points and I'm going to do a maelstrom mission, so that always favours large horde armies and very mobile armies like Orcs, because you can get to all the objectives and score those points. Got my deffkilla wartrike as well, leading the force today for the first time, so yeah, expect some serious new model syndrome from that. But without further ado, let's take a look at the lists. So here's my 1750 point Evil Sunz army. Very much still a work in progress in terms of the list, but I have added my favourite new model, my deffkilla wartrike. So yeah, he's going to be my warlord. His warlord trait is going to be oh, what's it called? Follow me, lads. So he gets an extra command point and also the war ability, which stacks nicely with his speed war, so that his 6-inch aura affects everybody. And he's going to have the super cyborg as his relic, because that's literally the only one he can take. Then I got a weird boy, my nice little conversion here, built out of a fantasy savage orc. He's going to have the jump, and I am going to spend a point to give him warpath as well. So he's going to be a what's it called, a warp head, so he can cast 2 powers, the jump and warpath. Then 30 boys, obviously they will be my main target for the jump, sluggers and choppers, and there should be a knob somewhere in that unit, but I can't actually see him, so I may have to dig him out of my case. Then I got 2 units of 10 shooter boys, both got standard knobs with no upgrades and big shooters in there, and they'll both be riding in fast and dedicated transport war trucks. Then my elites. Got my banner knob, just finished doing his weapon swap last night because the one I had built wasn't a legal weapon choice anymore, so knob with a war banner. Then I got 10 tank busters, and they'll be riding in this, which is a truck. It's a looted vehicle, but it's being used as a truck because the rules don't exist for that in match play. And then 7 knobs, got 4 power claws in there, 1 big chopper, and they'll have a truck as well, which has a wrecking ball because I had 3 points left over. Then on to my fast stuff. Shock jump dragster, ran him once before and he didn't do very well, so hoping for a better game with him today. Then 3 deathcopters, massive points drop on these in the new codex. I wanted to see how they get on. They've all got the copter rockets, and then a nice big unit of 10 war bikes led by a knob with a power claw. So there it is, 1750 points of the Evil Sunz. And here's Tom's mixed chaos army. You've seen this army before on the channel, but not quite this list. He's changed it up a bit. So he's got a battalion from Codex Chaos Demons, so that is 2 units of brimstone horrors, 1 unit of pink horrors, and these rather snazzy looking screamers of Tzeentch. And then leading that, he's got Skarbrand and the changelings, so rather a mix there between Tzeentch and Khorne, but you know, it works. Then he's got a heretic Astartes patrol detachment, I think it is, so he's just got the poxwalkers, the terminators, what, death shroud with the scythes, just 4 of them. And then this is supposed to be Ahriman. He's left his Ahriman model at home, so he's running this sorcerer as Ahriman. And then finally, his Lord of War detachment, which is also his warlord, is Mortarion. So yeah, he's going to be a pain in the butt to deal with. I faced Mortarion once before and he was a nightmare. So yeah, let's go and look at deployment. Slight correction on Tom's list here, that's not 4 Death Shroud, that's 3 Death Shroud and Typhus. I really should have known that, but hey, it is what it is. So much to my disappointment, we rolled up hammer and anvil deployment tonight, so yeah, long edges, not really what I'd like, but you know, there are ways we can make this work for us. As for the mission, we've got kill confirmed, so we have to kill stuff basically. You get 1 victory point for everything you kill, and you still use maelstrom objectives, but you can't discard any that involve killing stuff unless it's physically impossible to do it, i.e. if, for example, I drew kill a vehicle, Tom has no vehicles, so I'd be able to discard that one. So yeah, he's deployed his poxwalkers in a nice long line at the front, and his 2 little units of brimstone to deny me some drop zones in his back, which is a cunning plan. He's got Skarbrand up here with the screamers, pink horrors behind the trees with his characters, so we've got Ahriman, Typhus and the changeling, and then Magnus up here. He's going to cause me some trouble. I was a bit squeezed because yeah, these trees are right in my way. I don't really want to drive my vehicles sort of round them, so I'm having to kind of cluster up in the middle. So I got my bikes and my wartrike there, with the truck slightly further back to kind of form a second wave. Knobs are in there, tank busters are in there, along with my weird boy. Big mob at the back because yeah, they're not going to walk across the board. They've got much more interesting plans. Dragster's over there, hoping to shoot Mortarion with that because there's a decent gun on there. And I've got my death copters in reserves, and he's got his death shroud in reserves. So yeah, without further ado, we'll roll for first turn. At the moment, I've got the +1. I got 2, so that's 3. He got a 3, so we re-roll that. I got 6. Orc. Oh, he's going to seize. Here we go. No seize. Orc, turn 1. Okay, so Orcs are up first, and we drew Big Game Hunter, Defend 2, and Master the Walk. So held this truck back to get me Defend 2, and other than that was really just all-out attack. It's what Evil Sunz do. So the bikes pulled off an easy turn 1 charge into the Poxwalkers, and the dragster had also teleported, and so that was over here. And then the trucks all moved up, and then in the psychic phase, the weird boy, who'd got out of his truck to hang out with the boys, getting the nice +3 to his powers, cast the jump and warpath on these guys. My hope was to then charge them the 8 inches into the Poxwalkers, but despite having Here We Go and Evil Sunz, just failed the charge. So it's a 9-inch charge with a +1 move and a potential re-roll of 1 or both of the dice, and I failed it. Good work, lads. So that strategy hasn't pulled off in 2 games now, but hey, it is what it is. Bikes shot for the pink horrors, as did a lot of the trucks as well, because I thought if I got these boys in, I'd cut the poxwalkers down in melee, shoot the pink horrors. Instead, he's left with just 2 left there, and that would have been enough to cause him to fail a leadership test and get me first blood, but Tom spent 2 CP to deny me first blood, which is a cunning plan. We like that. And then the tank busters shot for Skarbrand out of their truck here. Didn't do anything because they apparently suck at shooting. But hey, we're Orcs, we knew that. But the dragster had a better time, got 6 to hit, so mortal wound and another shot. The extra shot didn't do anything, and then the one that had hit in the first place only did 1 extra wound, so 2 to that. But the rockets did another 3 damage to him, so yeah, a few wounds off Skarbrand there, and then the shooter boys from here fired off a few more shots, so he's down to 8 wounds now. And then in the assault phase, the bikes and the dragster between them weren't enough to bring down the poxwalkers, needed the boys to do that, but hey, at least his pink horrors are suffering, his screen of poxwalkers is at least tied up, and my bikes took no damage in return, so not terrible first turn. Points wise, I got Master the Walk, and I've got a good chance of getting Defend 2, but I'm going to have to hold Big Game Hunter. Anyway, let's move on to the Chaos first turn. Right, so we're filming this at the end of Tom's psychic phase because it's a fairly significant phase. So this turn he drew Kingslayer, The Great Game, and Glory to Khorne. So I think that probably involves killing something in combat. I can't actually read it from over here, but that's his cards. I'll have a look at them properly in a minute. Movement-wise, not a lot happened. Mortarion came up into that gap there, and then as you can see he's warp timed forward in the psychic phase. Skarbrand had taken just enough wounds to be a bit slow, so he's got a fairly long charge against those boys if he wants to go there. And other than that, it was a pretty slow movement phase, just spread out the little flamey guys to keep my backfield blocked. But yeah, the psychic phase is all really about Mortarion. He did fail quite a lot of powers across his army, but he failed putrescent vitality on the poxwalkers, he failed smite, he failed something else, but what he did get off, he failed miasma of pestilence, but he got blades of purification on Mortarion and diabolic strength on Mortarion, plus obviously warp time to get him to there, so he is a real threat right now. We're in trouble here with Mortarion, but at least he didn't get his -1 to hit, and yeah, it could have been a lot worse. So yeah, we got his what little shooting he may have, and then the combat phase to do. So the chaos counterattack was in the end as brutal as I expected. As you can see, all around Mortarion there is very little left. So he killed the deffkilla wartrike in combat, no trouble, and had attacks spare to kill the truck, which did a little bit of damage to that as well, but he did take a couple of mortal wounds in the ensuing explosion, so you know, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I lost my wartrike before it really got to show what it can do, but I just didn't want to spend the 2 CP to get to attack before Mortarion did, because over there Skarbrand was destroying the boys. He killed 15 of them, and then the Screamers killed another couple, and then he managed to get to attack again at the end of the combat phase. I did burn the last of Tom's CP, so he's literally burnt through his entire CP stock in 1 turn, but has left 2 boys alive there, so I will be spending 2 command points to auto-pass them around, and then another 3 to bring them back, because Orcs is Orcs and that's what we does. Down here, combat bogged down a little bit. I lost a few bikes, still need to take a morale check for them actually, so I lost 3. There's still lots in the unit, 7, so 4 plus 3, that's 7, that's fine, so they're not running anywhere. And I killed a few more poxwalkers. I will eventually get through them, but Typhus and the punk horrors joined the fight. So yeah, points wise, he needs to roll for the great game. Basically he has to roll the number of objectives he's holding. That's a 4. He's currently holding 1, 2 at best, so no, we don't score that. Glory to Khorne, he gets 1 4 because he killed a character, but it wasn't with a Khorne model. And then finally Kingslayer, he gets D3 for, so roll for that. Plus First Blood, so that's 1, 2, 3 points, plus 1 for Warlord, so he's on 4 points. So an early lead for Chaos, but the Deathcopters are coming in and it is time to strike back. And I scored Defend Objective 2, so that's a couple of points for me there. And yeah, I'm going to burn 2 CP to stop the big boys mob from fleeing, and then I will be spending another CP to bring 3 CP to bring them all back. So my objectives this turn: Advance, Assassinate and Big Game Hunter. So get out of my deployment zone and kill one of these big demons. Kind of what I had planned anyway. So yeah, the boys mob picked up from over here and placed down over on that flank, 9 inches out from the poxwalkers, and then all the trucks that were sort of milling around here pulled forward. The knobs ganged up around Mortarion, and I brought the Deathcopters on over here. The weird boy, however, couldn't get advanced. He was too far back, so he cast a jump on himself and ended up appearing over there, ready to cast Warpath on the knobs to give them all an extra attack. Deathcopters led off the shooting and finished off Skarbrand quite easily. Only had 2 wounds left, and our rockets are 3 damage apiece, so bye-bye Skarbrand. The tank busters went for Mortarion, but basically did nothing. They've had a really poor game. The shooter boys managed to put a couple of wounds onto the Screamers. Just killed 1 actually, as already holding them on wound. And yeah, a few little isolated pop shots at Mortarion didn't really do a lot from the rest of the army. But then in the assault phase, the knobs charged into Mortarion, and thanks to the banner, left him on just 2 wounds. Really good rolls to hit with the power claws there, and him failing to get off his -1 to hit last turn was really key. So yeah, Mortarion's in a bad way. He did wipe out the knobs, but you know, he's only got 2 wounds left. Boys didn't get as many attacks as they would have liked, because they were attacking on quite a narrow front, but it was enough to wipe out the pink horrors and kill a few poxwalkers. There is just the one left there after the attacks of the bikes and the dragster, but Typhus killed 4 bikes in response. Leaves the dragster now out of combat, and the boys surrounding that one lone poxwalker and the bikes tying up Typhus. So yeah, not too bad a turn. Points wise, I got Assassinate and Big Game Hunter for killing off Skarbrand, plus, you know, I got Skarbrand off the board, and I got Advanced as well, so a nice little scoring turn. Shame I couldn't quite finish off Mortarion, but Tom is starting to run out of viable units here. Mortarion and Typhus, the only real big threats left on the board now, but there's a few sneaky characters hiding there, so he's certainly not out yet. Oh, and he's just reminded me the Death Shroud haven't turned up yet, so yeah, there's that to deal with. So with all the destruction that's gone on, I can't believe it's only turn 2, it's crazy today. So Tom's cards were Domination of Chaos, so you basically had to hold more objectives than me, which was pretty easy because I wasn't really near the objectives. And then he had Psychological Warfare and Hold the Line. So Hold the Line was pretty easy, just kept these units back here. I think Changeling is still in, as I think are these Screamers and obviously the 2 units of Brimstone. Screamers came along here to threaten the dragster. Mortarion came back towards the boys, and these guys just about managed to sneak down there, the Death Shroud, but they didn't do anything. They were out of range for their charge and out of range for their shooting, so you know what, I'll let them be for now. They're slow and their main thing is to protect Mortarion. Mortarion charged into the boys, and as did Ahriman and Typhus and the Changeling, and left them on just probably about 5 boys and a knob left there. Either way, it's not enough for me to have a hope in hell of passing my leadership check, so they're failing that, which is going to give him Psychological Warfare. And also he's got Dominion of Chaos because he's holding that one over there, and I'm not holding any. So nice, good sort of scoring turn for him there. Other than that, Mortarion fired at the shock jump dragster and took a bunch of wounds off it, but it was the Screamers that finished it off, but alas, no explosion. But before the boys ran away, they did manage to do one wound to Mortarion, so he's on 1 wound left, so I should be able to get him next turn. But yeah, ouch. Big damage turn, big scoring turn, but I think the Orcs probably still have the numerical advantage here, especially as these Brimstone Horrors are really nothing more than grots. Anyway, let's go on to Orc turn 3. So turn 3, and not the best cards for me. Area Denial was going to be tough with those Death Shrouds sitting on there. Get 'em Boss is going to be my discard because my Warlord isn't even alive to do it. And Defend 5 was a bit fiddly. Tried to run this truck down there, advance this truck, but just wasn't fast enough, which is really disappointing as an Evil Sunz player to understand that something isn't fast enough. Other than that, pulled this truck back to sort of be in a bit more of a defensive position if I need it later on. Deathcopters came up ready to charge the Screamers. Tankbusters stayed pretty much where they are, just made sure they were 24 inches from the Death Shroud and Magnus. And the Weird Boy was over there. He advanced up to about 6 inches out from Magnus, making sure Mortarion was the closest. And yeah, then my Weird Boy proved himself man of the match. Cast Smite on an 11, perfect, killed Mortarion. He then cast a jump on himself thanks to being a warphead, and hid over here because he's not just brutal, he's cunning as well. Other than that, the Deathcopters and the Tankbusters, in fact pretty much everything left, shot for the Death Shroud in the middle and killed a total of 1 of them, so a little bit disappointing, but you know what, it's 1 less Death Shroud on the board to deal with. And in the combat phase, the Deathcopters got into combat with the Screamers and chopped them up with their spinning blades. Despite some below average rolling, it was enough to do the job, so not bad. Unfortunately, not scored any objectives, and I've still got Death Shroud and those characters to deal with, but yeah, Mortarion's gone, so woo, no more Mortarion to deal with. So we go into the Chaos turn. Tom's new cards were Advance, Secure 5 and Overwhelming Firepower. 5 was down here, so he kept these little flaming guys down here to hold that. And Overwhelming Firepower is going to be difficult because there's mostly pistols and like incidental weapons in this. He did move up his Death Shroud to try and threaten that truck, but their firepower wasn't going to be enough to kill it. but as you can see, they killed it in melee. Other than that, the main focus of the attack was against the deffkilla. Clearly he was out for revenge, but some subpar attack rolls, particularly with Typhus, meant that even though Typhus, Changeling and the Poxwalkers made it into melee, he only killed one and damaged another. A little bit unlucky there. Reroll ones to hit, reroll ones to wound,
but no reroll ones to hit.
But not reroll ones to hit. Sort of, yeah, not the way around he wanted there. So yeah, that's pretty good for me actually. So in the end, all he got was 5 because he couldn't get these guys out of his deployment zone, and his shooting was largely ineffective. So yeah, I think he's probably just ahead on points just through number of kills, because you get a kill point for every unit you destroy. And obviously in melee he wrecked that truck and killed a boy for no damage in return. So yeah, I think he's a bit ahead on points at the moment, but I think the Orcs are in a good position here. We could pull this. One other thing we did notice is with this marking the centre of the board here, I actually score area denial because he moved them off there, so just 1 point there, but every little helps. So still holding defend 5 as you go into my 4th turn. I think it's 4th, yeah, 4th turn. And I've also got behind enemy lines and mission critical objective, which came up as a 6. Now unfortunately that was over there, and I couldn't get this truck over there to secure it. 5's down here, got this buggy down here, truck down here, but couldn't shoot the brimstone horrors off. Terrible volley of shooting there from these guys. Tried to get to 6 using my weird boy, who was hiding in these trees, cast smite, which finished off the poxwalkers, and then the jump failed. First time I failed to jump this game, and yeah, so he failed, and he's now kind of in a bad spot. Deffkilla came over here to try and finish off these brimstones and get away from Typhus. They did also shoot Ahriman, but missed with everything, and killed a few brimstones in combat, but not as many as I would have thought. He got a bit lucky with his saves. And over here was an absolute disaster. I had killed one of these guys with the shooting of the tank busters. They were just in line of sight of the tank busters truck, so that was good. But then the boys over here, the shooter boys, failed to do any damage in the shooting, and then when I charged, he got really jammy with his overwatch. Loads of hits, should have been 5s to wound, but just so many wounds. Only left with like 3 boys left who died in combat, and then the knob ran away. So yeah, bad times. So points wise, all I got is behind enemy lines for 1. I am going to keep hold of mission critical objective. I'm going to discard defend 5 because I just don't think there's going to be enough time to do it, because he's going to deal with that truck next turn, I think. So just the 1 point, and we go on to the, I think this is the 4th chaos turn. Not much left on the board now, and Tom's holding secure 4, delight in despair, which is basically make your opponent fail a morale test, and also overwhelming firepower still because he can't get rid of it. And yeah, it was a pretty good turn actually. He got Ahriman down there to the deffkilla and killed them. He got Mortarion, Typhus into combat with my weird boy, which was just the most one-sided horrible combat ever. And the Changeling and the Brimstones tried to go after this truck, and the Death Shroud ran away behind that building there because he's a little coward. As for damage, well obviously the Weird Boy's dead and the Deffkilla are dead, but the Brimstones took horrible casualties charging the truck, and then the truck ran the last 2 of them over, so those Brimstones are gone. Over here, Changeling failed the charge though, but he did get secure 4 because he got Typhus on there, so that's 1 point. He's discarded Delight in Despair because I've really not got much that can fail a morale check. Now, well I have, but it's, yeah, going to be hard for him to do, and he's locked into overwhelming firepower, so only a point, but he's taken out my weird boy, and he's taken out my deffkilla, so yeah, not much left to win this fight with, but as we go into Orc turn 5, we got some ways and means to do this. So game's still pretty close, but I've got some good objectives this turn. Secure 5, defend 6, and mission critical for 6, which I was still holding from last turn. So I pulled the tank busters truck over to next to 6, that's just within 3 inches, we've measured it, and that was able to get me line of sight to finish off the Death Shroud as well, so bang, dead Death Shroud, nice work. My only other thing left alive was the truck, which happened to be sitting on 5, so those cards lucked out quite nicely for me. That shot up Changeling, only did 1 wound to him, and then tried to finish him off with a charge, but did nothing. He did nothing in return, but that's got me 5. Truck's well longer than 3 inches, so I'm holding him off there nicely. So that got me a point for that, and a point for that, with the option on another point next turn if you can't kill the truck and all the tank busters. So yeah, not bad turn, and we're now going into the 5th and potentially final Chaos turn. 5th and potentially decisive turn for Chaos here. He had Touched by the Warp, Scour the Skies and Overwhelming Firepower. With nothing bigger than a pistol on the table, Overwhelming Firepower was theoretically but not practically possible, but Touched by the Warp was easy. Caster Power with a Tzeentch Demon. Changeling did some damage to the truck with Smite. He then did some more with Ahriman and Typhus's version of Smite, but it wasn't enough to kill the truck. He had to charge it, which meant at least the boys were able to get out relatively unscathed. And I got Defend 6 because he wasn't able to pull me off there. So when we added the points up, that leaves us 21 points to the Orcs, 22 points to Chaos. Tom, would you like to do the honours and roll? Game carries on. That was taking into account Linebreaker, First Blood and Warlord as well on that. So yeah, 1 more turn. Let's see what happens. So final turn, trying to just snag the last few points. So I've got Domination, great, really good time to draw that. Defend 4, could be tricky, it's in the woods. And Secure 6, which is an easy score for the truck. But the tank busters got out. I went for Changeling and then realised actually those Brimstones were still alive, so I had to shoot them. Killed a couple of them. Shooter boys left them on just 1 more left. These guys just hightailed it out of here, just run as fast as we can. We're Evil Sunz, we need to get moving. Left them on 1 left, which the truck finished off. So that's 2 points this turn, 1 for the death of the Brimstones and 1 for securing Objective 6. Brings me up to 23 points, but Tom is on 22 points with a turn to play. So going into this very crucial 6th turn, Tom's holding Defend 3, Overwhelming Firepower and Mission Critical Objective. So 3 was going to be a bit difficult to get to, but the Mission Critical Objective was 5, so Typhus was able to do that, scored him a point, and then all the Smite and shooting down here was enough to kill off or almost kill off the boys, and then he charged them, finished them off in combat. So that got him a total of 2 extra points, bringing him up to 24. It also cost me Linebreaker, so I'm now only on 22 rather than 23, so he's 2 points ahead. So we're going to see if the game ends. If this ends, then it is a victory to Tom. It's a 3. Does that carry it on, or
No, it's the end of the game now.
That's it. Yeah, it's 4+, so game over. Tom wins by 2 points.
Good game.
Nice one, mate. Thanks.
That's really good. I enjoyed it.
Okay then, so that was a bit of a close one, wasn't it? One point there in the early game, I thought, you know, when I failed those charges and Mortarion took out my wartrike before it really got to do anything, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be in trouble here. This is going to be a bit of a stomping, but well done to the boys and the Weird Boy. They really fought it back. I mean, the Weird Boy had an absolute fire of a game. Really pleased with the result there, and yeah, although we didn't win, we kept it really close to the end, and you know, it's sort of such a gap in performance between that and how I played last time. You know what, I'm happy with that. Certainly still some things to learn, and could have gone a different way if some of the numbers, some of the dice had gone a bit different. You know, if the boys had made that turn 1 charge, yeah, could have put the big dent in his army right from the word go. But then if Mortarion had got off his -1 to hit ability on the first turn, then the knobs probably wouldn't have done so much damage to him. So, you know, it's all swings and roundabouts when you play a dice game. But yeah, it really was a close run thing in the end. Once again, the Weird Boy, just brilliant there, the way he was firing off units with the jumping around the board himself, casting Warpath on the knobs to give them what they needed to take down Mortarion, and then yeah, finishing Mortarion off himself. Absolute man of the match for a 64 point model, I think it is. Dirt cheap, ridiculous. And the Warphead stratagem is something I can see myself doing in most games. As for Tom's army, he did you know, deliberately tone it down slightly from our last meeting because he knew I wasn't bringing my strong Eldar list. This was going to be something a little bit softer because I'm still very much learning the Orcs. So no Magnus today, but Skarbrand, and I see what he's saying when he says Skarbrand, although he's tough, he's not worth his points. He's a bit too slow and a bit too squidgy, you know, as squidgy as you can be with that number of wounds, but with only the 5-up invuln, you know, things just get through him too quickly, and once he's down to half wounds he slows down. I mean, he was lucky to make it into combat when he did. Average dice roll, he shouldn't have made that charge, and the boys would have then hit him back next turn and would have been an easy victory for the boys there if we'd got to go first. But hey, what happened instead? Set up the boys to come in on the other flank and really disrupt things from there. So, you know, it's all good. I'm really liking this new codex. It doesn't feel like it's completely overpowered. It's certainly got some strong stuff in there, but there's nothing that is like utterly disgusting, but at the same time it's not, there's nothing terrible either. You know, there's most of the units, with a possible couple of extensions Stomper, are you know, good choices that you can certainly do something with in the right clan and with the right combos out there. Shame we didn't really get to see what the wartrike could have done in combat, although obviously getting the bikes there on the first turn was pretty handy for keeping him pinned back and playing the majority of the game on my terms, at least, with the Orcs being the aggressors. And yeah, in the end it just came down to the dice. So really looking forward to playing the Orcs more. Certainly got some more things I want to try out, and plenty of new units that I'm working on painting, including some of those, some more new buggies, because they're just cool. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.